Salut tout le monde! Today I'm going to show you my SMC Laguna 36-inch from 1989. I got it new in box last week on Kijiji for $12. Here's the box. Those tassel pull chains you saw are not the original pull chains. It originally came with those brown plastic pull chains. I guess most of late 80s SMC had those pull chains. I think they're pretty ugly. I prefer the oval ones, the black oval ones from the 90s, or even better, the tassel from the early to mid 80s. Yes, the box has been open. The fan has been tested, but never been really used. And yes, I know it says economy zone fan, but even if it's a pretty cheap fan, I like it. It's one of my favorite spinner with switch housing. And yes, this is the older version with like it doesn't have the mushroom like kick here at the bottom. And the latest version sold in the mid to late 90s, almost early 2000, was yeah, it had the mushroom like kick, and it was only available in white. This one, the older version here, was also available in brown. And yes, its label has Sears. And yes, those were sold at Sears, also at Canadian Tire back in the 90s. And yeah, the motor has been tested and like but it have never been like really installed or never been used since this time. So the motor, like, it stops pretty fast, so I put some oil in it. For the moment it didn't do anything. I hope it's gonna change something. And it hums also, but I guess this is a normal sign of a cheap fan. But the blades, oh, it has a little bit of very small dents maybe on the side of the motor here. But the blades are in pristine condition. They were still wrapped in their plastic, and I particularly love the stencil on those. This is pretty much like one of my favorite version of the SMC Laguna. I didn't remember that those had glossy blades like this. I thought they were more like matte. And yeah, also I didn't remember that the blades were a little bit like bent, like the brackets were a little bit like bent upwards, more like a golden fan, but of course not as much, but a little, if you notice. The motor, I like the shape of it, even if this one is pretty, it's very small, but it's a very classic shape of spinner motor. It's a disc with two rounded parts, one at the bottom and at the top. The top one is a little thicker. The switch housing is pretty cute too, and yeah, it's ball and socket, and the stencil is just adorable. The weird thing is that it was missing the screws, all the screws to hold the brackets with the blades, so I had to supply some. I guess like since the box has been opened, some parts have been lost. And the RPMs are very similar to my pink spinner. It's just maybe slightly slower, or just like it doesn't move as much air as my pink spinner, because of course the motor is smaller. And yeah, I'm gonna show it running on high. It wobbles only on high. I don't know if you can hear the hum. medium now. Yeah, a little slower than my pink spinner. The wobble has totally disappeared. It's weird, when I'm standing under the fan, I don't really hear the humming. It's when I'm like further of the fan actually, because I think the humming, like, it runs all through my ceiling. It's like if it was like some kind of a global humming, if you want. Like I hear it all through my room. But when I'm totally under the fan, it's not too bad. Depends how you're standing. Like when I'm sleeping, when you're sitting or something like this, you don't really hear it too much. It's when you're standing up. Okay, now on low. The low is a pretty fast low. Merci de votre écoute.